The most powerful man in the world is sitting in a tent on the edge of the Roman frontier. Outside, the wind is howling across the Danube, and the threat of Germanic tribes looms in the dark. Inside, by the flickering light of a single oil lamp, the Emperor of Rome is not drafting war plans or tax edicts. He is writing to himself. He is reminding himself to be a good man, to remain calm in the face of treachery, and to remember that he is a fleeting speck of dust in an infinite universe. This man was Marcus Aurelius, and his private journal, which we now know as the Meditations, remains the most profound record of a human soul struggling to maintain its integrity under the weight of absolute power. For 60 minutes, we are going to explore the blueprint of the emperor who conquered himself. To understand Marcus, you have to understand the burden he carried. He didn't ask to be emperor. He was a philosopher by nature, a man who preferred the quiet halls of study to the blood-stained theaters of politics. But when duty called, he answered. His reign was not one of peace and luxury. It was a relentless sequence of plagues, border wars, and internal betrayals. Yet, in the midst of this collapse, Marcus did not break. He used the tools of Stoicism to build an internal fortress that no external force could breach. The first pillar of his conquest was the realization that your life is what your thoughts make of it. Marcus understood that we do not experience reality directly. We experience our interpretation of reality. If someone insults you, they haven't harmed you. Only your judgment that you have been harmed creates the pain. He famously wrote that you can stand in the middle of a crowd of people shouting at you and remain as peaceful as a spring of clear water if you simply choose not to take up their offense. This is the ultimate power, the sovereignty over your own mind. Marcus practiced a technique called the view from above. When he felt overwhelmed by the petty squabbles of Rome, he would mentally zoom out. He would look at the city from the clouds, then the empire, then the earth, then the stars. From that height, the great wars looked like ants fighting over a crumb, and his own anxieties looked like nothing at all. This wasn't to diminish his responsibility, but to gain the clarity needed to fulfill it. He realized that the only thing that truly belongs to us is our character. Your fame, your wealth, and even your body are indifferents, things that can be taken away by fate at any moment. But your ability to act with justice, temperance, and wisdom is yours alone. Marcus was a master of memento mori. He kept the reality of death at the front of his mind, not as a source of gloom, but as a filter for his actions. He asked himself before every decision, is this necessary? Would I do this if I were dying tomorrow? This stripped away the trivial and left only the essential. He saw his role as emperor, not as a privilege, but as a service. He was the head of the body of humanity, and he believed that what is bad for the hive is bad for the bee. This sense of cosmic citizenship allowed him to forgive his enemies. When his general Cassius betrayed him and attempted to seize the throne, Marcus did not respond with rage. He hoped for the chance to forgive the man and show the world that a ruler could handle even treason with stoic grace. He conquered his anger, his ego, and his fear. But we must also look at the human side of the emperor. He suffered from chronic pain. He lost many of his children to the plague, and he was surrounded by people who didn't understand his philosophy. His sadness was not the nihilistic despair of Rick Sanchez. It was a heavy, dutiful melancholy. He stayed at his post because he believed it was what the universe required of him. He didn't seek an exit from the cave through escape. He sought it through endurance. As we move through this meditation, we must ask how we can apply the emperor's blueprint to our own lives. We may not rule an empire, but we rule ourselves. We face our own frontier wars in the form of stress, loss, and the chaos of the modern world. Marcus shows us that the cave is not a place we leave, but a place we transform. By changing our perception, we change our world. The emperor's conquest was silent and internal. He didn't need to defeat a foreign army to be a hero. He needed to defeat the impulses of his own heart. He reminded himself that The best revenge is to not be like your enemy. In an age of outrage and reactive behavior, this is the most radical stance one can take. To remain calm when others are screaming, to be just when others are corrupt, and to be kind when the world is cruel. This is the Stoic blueprint. This is the way of the emperor. As you listen to these words, realize that the same ruling faculty that Marcus Aurelius relied on is sitting within you right now. You have the power to withdraw into your own soul and find peace, regardless of what is happening in the garage of your life or the streets of your city. The conquest of self is the only victory that truly lasts. Everything else, the monuments, the books, the empires, will eventually be swallowed by time. But the choice to be a good man in this moment is eternal. Marcus Aurelius died in a cold tent far from home, but he died a free man because he was never a slave to his own passions. He exited the cave not by walking out into the sun, but by carrying the sun within him.